Welcome to Flick and Reel, your friendly neighborhood fancast. We are your source of news, reviews, and daily discourse. I am one of your two hosts, Scott Fox, accompanied by our always awesome main host, Jesse Swift. How you doing, Jesse?
You give me far too much credit. I'm only awesome about 75% of the time, but thank you, Scott. Didn't realize we are live. How's everyone doing today?
I'm great. My hair's on point, so feel ready to talk movies.
Yes. Well, we managed to scrounge up a little bit of news to get us between WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, where we can just roll right back into doing those weekly reviews. And I feel like there might be something else coming out next week. Any idea, Scott?
Well, we're going to be talking about it just a little bit here today as our number 2 topic. But this Thursday, this Thursday is the Zack Snyder Justice League release on HBO Max. And it is, I believe, I don't know how many of our fans are really looking forward to this. But if you're not, boy, I don't know. I think you and I have oversold our excitement for this. I've been waiting for it for a long time. And this will officially be able to put the Justice League or Whedon cut out of memory and move forward.
It will finally kill the hashtag release the Snyder cut. So,
oh my goodness, yes.
It'll be,
and we get to see Black Suit Superman.
Black Suit Superman, Martian Manhunter, Darkseid fully realized, the nightmare sequences explored, but we will get more into that.
Yes.
As anyone that has been on the channel before can see, I'm not in my normal locale. I mean, I am, but I'm in a different spot. So behind me is my attempt at making a cat-proof couch. That's why there's all the blankets on there. Doesn't always work. But next Thursday, as Scott mentioned, we will be gathering for the first time for the podcast. No, we gathered for the audio ones. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah,
we would gather for audio.
That's right. But I think this is our first time together on screen for the podcast. Like, it
will be.
So that's exciting. And then we'll just have the typical things going with StreamYards, and then we'll have a little timer going so you can pop on your HBO Max and watch along with us as we geek out and have a whole lot of fun. More details. Geez, carbonation. More details coming in the near future here. Keep an eye on Twitter. You can follow me at Jesse Swift for all those news updates. So, moving along, as Scott said, we are your source for news, reviews, and daily discourse. And before we dive into topics, I do have a very important message. We really want to grow this channel and devote more time and energy into making informative and entertaining content. This can be achieved most simply by taking just 1 second right now, going down to that little thumbs up button and giving us a like. It's that easy. Doesn't cost you a cent. And then I think the YouTube video might have been playing through on your side, Scott.
No, I killed the audio. I apologize.
Okay. No, all good.
I opened my phone. I forgot I had it pulled up. So
deja vu.
My bad on that. Yeah.
All good. And then once you have liked the video, please leave a comment and be part of our discussion, and then subscribe to the channel. All these things help immensely. Just make sure that you hit the little bell icon so you don't miss any time that we upload something new, like a news breakdown such as today, or a review, or anything of the like. Secondly, and not lastly necessarily, I'm doing great today. I'm on a roll. Our dreams do not stop at 50 subscribers. They do not stop at 72 subscribers. By the way, 28 more subscribers to our first 100. So help us get there. Be part of that journey with us. Podcasting is what we love to do, and we'd love to invest more time into this channel. And you at home can help by visiting us at StreamYards or submitting super chats on YouTube. Your donations will help immensely with building this channel into a geek-speaking utopia. So I will pop up that Streamlabs link real quick here. There's something sounds like wind over there. I'm not sure what it is.
I think there's somebody opened the back door to let my dog out, and it created a howl through the house. And I've got the gain turned out, but I'll try and figure it out.
That's the link right there. Show your support at streamlabs.com/flickinreel. Oh my gosh, we got comments rolling in already. Guys, we haven't even started. Oh man, it's some good guys over at the shows. We got Brandon Buckingham saying, "Hey fam," over from Schmoes of the North. Awesome. We got Jake Berlin showing some support from the POV crew. Thanks, guys. Oh, they're just going back and forth, having a great time. Oh, I can't wait. I hope you guys pop in for the watch along. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. All righty, let's get ready for our first topic here. And that is what
Black Widow. I got
Black Widow. Okay.
Black Widow is now supposedly on track for the May 7th theatrical release, which, okay, good. We can move forward. Check this. Literally, seeing this movie feels to me like bridging a gap between old MCU and the future MCU, because we know there's a huge shift. We've already seen the full arc completed with Endgame, and this movie is supposed to be kind of a transition, but you and I agreed a while ago that this movie is 5 years late.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And just to probably maybe use this analogy for the last time, as you know, I've been saying that Marvel Studios is a little constipated right now. And I think Black Widow finally coming out will serve as the X-Lax for the studio and just help everything come right out. Because right now we got like 4 movies, either completed or in various stages of post-production.
That's the grossest visual. Like, I'm going to try and rinse that out of my brain real quick. Flush it. Flush it all out. There we go.
That's right. So I want to see this movie on its own, but also kind of like what you were talking about, it's what it represents. Yeah. And now that once Black Widow comes, we can move forward in the MCU. I mean, we got to do that a little bit with WandaVision, but we miss our movies. As I brought up, I believe last time, I saw Raya and the Last Dragon in theaters, and it was my first time in theaters in 12 months. It's a wild experience. And Scott, I'm going to extend this to you right now, live on camera. Tyler, previous co-host, any of returning fans from Fansplash might know, we are looking at renting out a theater for Mortal Kombat.
I'm in. Yeah. We got to remember 2 jobs, 4 kids.
Right.
Trying to be a good husband and a student. If it coordinates, but I don't want everyone to build their schedule around me. But if you guys are going to a theater to watch Mortal Kombat and renting out the whole thing, I will find a way. I think
it'll take about 6 people to make it financially viable. Whatever.
What's the release date for Mortal Kombat?
I believe it's April 16th or 15th. It's right around there. So we got a little bit of time.
Because we got
about a month to try to figure it out.
We got Justice League. We got Kong versus Godzilla. Mm-hmm. Then we'll have Mortal Kombat, and then we get Black Widow. And so that's kind of our march through for a little bit. How was Raya and the Dragon?
Raya and the Last Dragon with Kelly Marie Tran and Awkwafina and Gemma Chan was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you expect it from Disney animation, but the trailers I thought looked visually beautiful, but there was some like story elements or casting choices that I thought seemed off. And I got to say, once you sit down and you get in the movie, it's seamless. And as per usual, at some point in the last 5 minutes, you're going to cry. And that's just, very on brand for Disney Pixar.
Well, that's good. That you should have that. You should have an emotional engagement with a movie, whether it's laughter, whether it's crying, whether it's emotions, however that expresses excitement. There needs to be something more than just. You should never walk out of a movie feeling like, well, I don't even know what that was, i.e., the first Justice League.
Shout out to Buck really quick, and I'm going to use this as a quick segue here. He said, just subscribed on Apple Podcasts. So I want to say, hey, everyone, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Radiocast, all that good stuff.
We made it. We're on all the actual major platforms.
That's right. And on Anchor, of course. I do have to get caught up on updating some of our most recent episodes, but I appreciate you guys being on there. Me personally, a lot of times I listen to audio over video because I'm at work and I can't watch a video. So, but I can plug in my headphones in. Yep, exactly. So thank you, Buck, for that. I guess not much to say really about Black Widow, except it was Bob Chapek, that new CEO of Disney, taking over for Bob Iger, that confirmed this, and it feels strange because now officially the movie is coming out a year after its initial release, a full 12 months and a couple days.
The great thing is then this really clears the way for them to move. Like there's a lot of stuff, like you said, I won't use the same graphic imagery of a heavy duty laxative to flush the system out, but they really are. They have so much material, so much content finished, ready to be released that just we haven't been able to lay our eyes on because it's been hinging on Black Widow getting out. They went ahead and went forward with WandaVision, but we also WandaVision maybe less than Falcon Winter Soldier, but we know Falcon Winter Soldier had to go through some edits because some of this stuff hadn't actually happened yet.
Yeah, I'll be really interested to see how it all plays out. And again, guys, plug, because that's all we do on this channel. Next Saturday, we will be live reviewing Falcon and Winter Soldier, the first episode. So very excited for that. All right. We talked about some Marvel, so pretty much DC news for the rest of the day. What do you want to talk about next, Scott? We got two to choose from.
Well, let's finish on the Snyder Cut. So let's go the Battinson. Let's talk about the wrap up. Many delays, many production issues, a mountain more rumors than I think probably issues. But the Batman is finally wrapped. It's done. And what's crazy is we got the trailer, and granted they can do the trailers, they can release that stuff way earlier than finishing principal shooting. But we got the trailer. Gosh, I want to say 4 or 5, 6 months ago when we had the initial one.
Originally, when the trailer came out, it was just because they had DC fandom, and at that point, it was about a year ahead of time. But we were still supposed to get the movie in like 2021, I believe, and but they're like, hey, we're like a month into filming. We got some stuff that we can show, kind of like what they did with Guardians of the Galaxy. And so they put that out there. But now in hindsight, it's frustrating because by the time the movie comes out, that trailer will be like a year and a half old.
Yeah, they're going to have to. And I'm sure they'll do fine. I tell you what, if they could learn anything from Zack Snyder, it's how to hype a movie. And maybe they'll pick up on some of the ways that he's doing stuff for the Snyder Cut. And be able to rebuild the momentum for this, because this has been a long time in the making, and but what they showed us in the trailer really has me quite pumped. Still, I have to go back and rewatch it to remind myself of what I was excited for, but I think Robert Pattinson is going to be fantastic as the Batman, and I'm interested to see how Matt Reeves really pulls this off, but I just can't believe the time frame. Everything, what happened with Justice League when Warner forced that out and forced Joss Whedon to hack it to trash and put out just anything to make sure they got a bonus that year.
Speaking of toilet fodder.
Oh my goodness. I'm excited for the Zack Snyder's Justice League because it puts back into perspective the correct universe for the DCEU. Even though I know they're probably going to reboot it again because, everyone needs another Batman origin movie.
I mean, according to Walter Hamada, they are already working on having a Batman that will exist in the DCEU. And I'm like, you got Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton in this Flash movie, and you have Robert Pattinson, and now you're talking about you need a Batman that's going to fit within like the Justice League universe. And I'm like, just pick one that we can get attached to and move forward.
Yeah. So the original announcement being in 2017 to now it'll be released in 2022 is
5 years.
Absurd.
5 years. Like
usually
right now,
you got like
us talking.
2-year turnaround.
Yeah. Right now with us talking, and they kept saying we're working on the script, we're pushing it. There's not many movies that have been pushed or moved around or altered in some way as much as the Batman have, and still happened.
We saw a full shift from Affleck being the guy, Affleck writing, directing, doing everything, to him handing over the directing to Matt Reeves, to him handing the script over to Matt Reeves rebooting the entire thing. And we don't know what version or how that transfer has really happened and how it morphed. But definitely when they recast with Robert Pattinson, everything got handed over to Matt Reeves. Ben Affleck stepped out.
They threw the whole script out because it was supposed to be a Deathstroke-centric movie.
Yep.
And not to say that this one doesn't also look great, but as far as I can tell, there's no remnants of Ben Affleck's flavor or touch on the script or movie at all.
I don't want to downplay Robert Pattinson because he hasn't gotten an opportunity on screen to don the cape and cowl and really present himself as Batman. So we don't know really what it will be. We've seen the images in the trailer. He looks fantastic. He looks physically imposing because he's got the height. But does he have the book? Affleck pulled off Batman physically in a way that we had never seen on screen. Michael Keaton's 5'11". Christian Bale's 6 foot, maybe 6'1". Ben Affleck's 6'4". And he walked in at 230 pounds of beef. Ready to pull off the role. And so we're seeing this a different iteration of it, and I'm just excited because it'll finally be out. Even if they're going where we'll have this universe, and we're going to have different storylines going at the same time, that's fine, because they also have the Joker. We have Suicide Squad's Joker. We have Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, which was amazing. And then we have now we're going to see Jared Leto again as the Joker in the nightmare sequences for Justice League. We've got all these different variations of characters that we can see. It'll be okay if they deliver on screen. If what hits the screen lives up to everything, that's all that matters. You and I always come back to this. It's what lands on the movie. When you go to sit in the seat and you watch it, if that comes through, that's all that matters. And it's kind of like people complaining about the length of certain movies. That's why they cut Justice League to 2 hours. Well, I'll take a 4-hour Justice League if it's a good Justice League. Give it all to me.
Well, it's kind of like BVS Ultimate Edition for me. Even if I don't agree with everything, I would rather you give me the intended story so that I have something to discuss or talk about or analyze. And we don't really have news on the Batman. This is just kind of like an announcement, which is great. It's a staple in the production, and it's good to know that it's finally moving forward after just being plagued by the pandemic. But I do want to use this opportunity. We got a Streamlab donation from Brandon Buckingham. Thanks, Buck. We got a $3 Streamlab donation, and he wants to know if there's any way that either of us will be disappointed in Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I think that's a good segue onto our next point. But first, Scott, what about this movie could disappoint you at this point in time?
Boy, it would have to miss on every level to be, because here's the thing. Disappointment is a comparison game, right?
Sure.
Well, we're measuring this against an absolute turd sandwich of Justice League. Now, let me just say this. I can watch Justice League that was finished by Joss Whedon and find entertainment value in it, but it's not a good movie. And the CGI is worse than any of the other things that Zack Snyder put out. The finish work is trash. So if that's the case, and all we're doing is comparing it to the previous versus this, it would have to miss on literally every level to be worse. And just the trailers alone, if any of that's in the movie, I'll be ecstatic. The big thing is with Justice League, we had the trailers from Zack Snyder, and half that stuff in the trailers didn't make the movie. As soon as they switched over to Joss Whedon taking over, they hacked everything out. And I think Zack Snyder said that there's like 20% of the Whedon cut was his stuff.
Something like that.
And we won't. I'm not going to have to stare at Henry Cavill with horse mouth.
No.
I mean, there are so many. I think the only way it would disappoint me is if I showed up and they ran the Whedon cut
twice
to tease me. Yes, that's the only way it would happen. Other than that, I think it's literally a comparison game. I'm going to be looking at this from a fresh set of eyes. Could it miss? Yeah, BVS had some issues. Sure. Ultimate Edition is a lot better, but it's not perfect. But by comparison, this would have to be really, really, really bad for me to come out disappointed. Yeah, and I'm a hardcore DC guy.
Same. There's a lot of things that I'm really interested in saying, and the word that I've kept using with, because I think that the Snyder Cut, or people that are excited for the Snyder Cut, kind of get a bad rap, and that's because there's a lot of just toxic fandom out there on either sides, either for or against the release of the Snyder Cut. And I think you and me are DC fans that want to see more DC stories told, and right now we're not getting a lot of that. And the last thing we got was Wonder Woman 84, which was just not great. It's been a while since we've gotten anything even remotely entertaining from DC, because I would argue that Wonder Woman 84 wasn't even entertaining. I just, on no level did I enjoy it.
The problem is Justice League, the Whedon cut, pumped the brakes on everything they had in the pipeline. And I'll be honest, my favorite thing that DC has shoved out over the last couple of years is easily Shazam. Fantastic movie. I'll take that. I can rewatch that one quite easily. I have to mark out more time to go back and watch BVS, but I watched Wonder Woman 84, and when it was over, I said, that's the one. That's the one viewing that we'll ever get. There is not a reason to go back and review that. In the same way that Justice League, I've watched it multiple times, but
I may have steady reasons to go back to it, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, there's a difference, and careful where you're waving your hands right there. Awkward.
This?
Yeah, anyways. But the idea
just a reminder to donate to us on Stream.
Yeah, exactly.
We're giving you a show.
Yeah, exactly. You got to dance a little bit more than that, Jesse.
It's too early.
Yeah, I don't think there's a way I'm really going to be disappointed by this, just because I'm measuring it against a pretty low bar, and that's sad to say, but I want to try and view it with fresh eyes, as though I've never seen anything remotely about anything Justice League, and trying to go into it forgetting that I've seen the first one. But it's a comparison game, and it really is going against something weak.
If you ask me, the fact that Justice League came out only helps this movie, because it was so awful. And I think that if this was our first iteration of Justice League, and this was the first thing that we're getting, I think it would lend to more scrutiny and more criticisms. But now we're like, well, we've seen the worst possible scenario. So if you could give us something that sucks less, I, as a DC fan, would appreciate less suck. It's kind of how I feel about the Suicide Squad. Is I'm like, you can't be worse, so let me enjoy the better product that you have.
Yep.
And that's really all that I'm looking for. Hey, we have a friend of the show in the chat here, Chris Anthony Lopez, who was on our show a few weeks ago reviewing WandaVision with us. What's up, Chris? Good to see you in here.
Yeah, this whole measurement tool with it is kind of it's really hard. It's the same thing with BVS Ultimate Edition. If that had been the first take we got, who knows how it would have been received? It would have been better or worse than the original one. But we got a hacked version that cut out a lot of key plot points that in the Ultimate Edition, they filled back. That extra half hour is loaded with critical information that makes the story make sense. In the same way that Justice League was just this rushed mess of a movie that did nothing for storyline, character development, anything. It was garbage.
In BVS, it was really like the difference between, like, does Lex's plan make sense or not? Because in the theatrical cut, you're like, I have no idea what's going on. And it's just like convenience led to convenience. And then boom, you had a finale. But there was so much thought put into it and so many like little minutiae and stuff. But
I disliked Jesse Eisenberg less as Lex Luthor after the Ultimate Edition, especially the teaser at the very end when you get, or I guess this is after at the end of Justice League when we get Deathstroke kicking up, which please give me some. I really wanted to see Ben Affleck versus Joe Manganiello on screen.
Well, we might not see verses, but circling to our final topic, which is the TV spots that we got to look at. My cat is in the danger zone with the cords right now. But we have shots from the nightmare sequences that we will be getting more of in Justice League with Ben Affleck's Batman, Jared Leto's Joker, Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke, Cyborg, and The Flash are all in the nightmare sequences.
Yep.
And that's like, I keep thinking that that's like a 2-minute sequence, but they keep adding more of that scene in every trailer. I'm like, how much takes place here? And that's one of the things I'm most looking forward to.
One of the things I'm really looking forward to also in this is the Steppenwolf was the villain in Justice League. He was billed as the villain, with Darkseid being the puppet master behind. And the way that Zack Snyder has presented everything, it's as though Darkseid is playing a much larger role than was originally anticipated. Now, I still think that Snyder's hiding a mountain of stuff that we're not going to know about, because I think most of what we're seeing is early movie stuff, maybe first, second act, maybe a little bit of second. But I would lean towards the side that we're not getting a mountain of, or almost anything out of that third act, the pinnacle part of the movie. He's hiding all that. But man, the teasers he's put out, the one with the mother box where everyone's coming out on a different side, and it shows the cuts with Batman being tied up and subdued. So good. Cyborg stuck inside the side of the box.
And there's like a shot of Darkseid putting his hand on Superman in the black suit's shoulder. And I'm like, what's happening?
Oh,
and
dude. Superman reaching up to pull up Batman and help him up to the ledge. There's so many cool moments in this.
And they're really short TV spots, but they offer so much new footage and looks. One of the things that I found fascinating is that I don't know when this takes place, but there's shots of parademons dragging Atlanteans out of the ocean.
Dude. See, this is the problem when you rush something, or you tell a director that you have to fit it into a certain time sequence. We also know that he did go back and do reshoots. We're getting the Joker in some of this. Yeah. Seeing the parademons in different ways, seeing different tech that Batman's going to have to use to be able to enter a battle with superhuman beings. So good.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So much.
The Bat Tank straight out of Dark Knight Returns.
Yep.
That's very interesting.
And you got to love that Snyder goes to source material. Good source material, loads up, and then pulls it together in a pretty powerful way. Don't rush it, though.
I do have to call it like I see it, though. And I was listening to another podcast, and they were saying, I don't have a problem with Zack Snyder, but it would be nice if you read a comic outside of Frank Miller-verse, like just Frank Miller comics.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm like, you're not wrong. Like in all of his, whether it be like a little bit of year one inspiration or the Dark Knight Returns, whether just in imagery and in storytelling, the cynical nature of that Batman seems to be like definitely very much represented in the Snyderverse. And sometimes I think it works really, really well. Sometimes I think it's a little bit of a detriment to the character, because it's like, for the DCEU, this is our introduction to Batman, and he's already like that old, crusty, fed up with everything Batman. And I was like, I would have liked to have the whole story and like lead up to that. But all in all, Zack Snyder's Batman, from what I've seen, I don't count the theatrical Justice League as his Batman. We'll see what he does with them in this movie. It really works for me. I do like the angry, pissed off, I've been doing this for 20 years and don't get in my way.
What I want to see, okay, and this may sound crazy to anybody who's listening, I want to see Doomsday resurrected, bigger, spikier, angrier, because he can't die. You kill him, and he comes back bigger and stronger, and he mutates and gets even more intense. And I'm wondering if maybe this will be a redemption for the character, because literally the oversized Ninja Turtle that they put out in BVS,
he's a Ninja Turtle mixed with kitty litter.
Oh my gosh, so many wrong things. We never got to see the spiky, angry, really intense Doomsday that we should have gotten, other than his arm got cut off and he used the spike to stab Superman. cool. But I really want to see the Doomsday resurrected. Perhaps maybe they're having an issue with something, and that's got to be pulled out of there. But that's just my own personal thing, and there's a high likelihood that will not happen. But for me as a fan, Doomsday is such an amazing character. That's one of the flaws in BVS, that it doesn't matter whether it's Ultimate or the regular edition. The poor handling and rush job on Doomsday was semi-unforgivable, and he needs a redemption to who he could be.
Within the context of the story, I kind of like that they used like Zod's DNA and like Luthor's blood and stuff to like build this Doomsday. But the realization and execution post that point was very sloppy at best and rushed. And the death of Superman, minimum, is a story unto itself, not a third act of a third act.
Well, you don't squeeze that in to a whole different story. Just like, oh, by the way, this incredible arc that literally is one of the greatest stories in the Superman canon and lore, we're just gonna like pull from it little tidbits. It was a complete mishandling, and so my personal hope, if there's something I'm looking forward to, would be to see Doomsday sneak in. So if you really want to answer that question, if will I be disappointed if I don't see Doomsday redeemed?
Is that it?
That might be the thing that bothers me.
Oh my gosh!
Not that I'm looking for it, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, man, what an amazing character to be able to bring back. And granted, Steppenwolf is more than enough himself. Darkseid is way more of a villain. He's the behind the scenes villain arc for multiple movies.
And I think there's a lot of people that are kind of poo-pooing the look of Darkseid, and I'm looking at it, and everyone's putting it like side by side with Thanos, and I was like, here's one of the differences I feel, because they wanted Thanos to really be able to kind of emote. They gave him a very Josh Brolin human face, and Thanos does look very like, photorealistic. Darkseid is not that. They're going traditional Darkseid from the comics, where not only is he emotionless, but he's going after the anti-life equation and just trying to like wipe out life across the universe and the galaxy and stuff. And you don't really need a sympathetic face for that. Darkseid has always looked like his skin looks like stone, and he's literally stone faced. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not looking for a lot of expression from that. I think they've nailed the voice. I'm not overly familiar with the actor, but I think he's killing it. It'll be really good to see more Steppenwolf too.
Mm-hmm. And see Steppenwolf in the form that he was supposed to have with the spikes and everything on his suit.
Yeah. So there's a lot that I'm really looking forward to with Justice League. I don't think it was this week, but in previous weeks there was a spot where we actually got a line from, I believe his name's Harry Lennox, the guy that plays the General Swanwick in Man of Steel.
Yep.
He will be playing Martian Manhunter. Of course, it will be revealed that General Swanwick was Martian Manhunter, and we get a line from him. And I can't wait to actually see a Zack Snyder Martian Manhunter. And I will be disappointed if it's like he turns into Martian Manhunter, says his line, and then like deuces, he's gone. I've heard that we're going to get more from the Green Lantern Corps. So there's
rumors of cameos, all kinds of stuff in this. And there's also a rumor of a secret cameo in the post-credit scene type stuff. If that's Martian Manhunter, it'll be the biggest. That'll be a letdown, because we already know he's supposed to be in the movie. That's been revealed. That can't be the reveal that you see on the first viewing. It's got to be something where incredibly tight-lipped. You never know about it. Literally, if it's Martian Manhunter, they showed the image of it. Like, that's not a reveal anymore. But however, if they sneak in the Lantern Corps and they bring in possibly a Jon Stewart, using maybe a Tyrese Gibson, Common, there's several actors who could play a Jonathan Stewart.
Common's already been in the DCEU.
Okay. People get recast sometimes. But they could bring in a lot of people, or a lot of different options.
Michael Jai White for Jon Stewart. Let's go.
Michael Jai White, or maybe you go Hal Jordan and you go Armie Hammer. He was
maybe
rumored
not recently.
Yeah, true. There's been a lot of issues, but there was even a rumor that you go with a Tom Cruise for an older Hal Jordan, and then or are we getting a Guy Gardner? That's the great thing about the Lantern Corps. There's a lot of characters you can pull from to go with on that in order
to do Guy Gardner. If we go Guy Gardner, do we give him a better or worse wig than Cletus Cassidy in Venom? You know what I'm talking about with Woody Harrelson's clown wig?
You mean Carnage? I'm going better wig. Yeah. Because you can't get worse.
Buck brings up a fair point. And I do have one to add on to this. Is Jaimin Hounsou in the DCEU as two characters, by the way. He is the Wizard Shazam as well as the Fisherman King in Aquaman. Also,
he's in the MCU. Yes. He's everywhere. Jaimin Hounsou is literally in everything.
He's in the MCU as Korath the Pursuer. But also Gemma Chan is Minerva in Captain Marvel, and she's also going to be one of the Eternals. Also, Alfred Woodard, I believe. I cannot remember her name exactly, but she's in Luke Cage and Civil War.
Yet none of them turned out to be Mephisto.
Yeah, well, as we talked about when I popped in on the Apocalypse podcast, U.S. Agent is going to be Mephisto in Falcon Winter Soldier.
You mean Mephisto?
Chris Barnes, how's it going?
What if Mephisto just turns out to be the astrophysicist we never got to meet?
That's right. Just tie all the loose ends up together.
Oh man. Okay. Well, again, so many storylines, so many things they could do. The great thing is we only have to wait till Thursday for the proof to be.
That's wild. Yeah. We're gonna have to. Let's see. I'm gonna need some caffeine. I think we might order some pizza.
Yep, all of it. Plus some.
Yeah, I'm going to have it set up to where if you guys are following, we'll have a timer. And also down right here, we'll have what chapter we're on because we know it was, interesting. They released 6 chapters with the titles, but I was just watching a Snyder interview. He's like, I don't know why they didn't put the 7th chapter on there, and then he named it. So there's 7 chapters. But so we will have that broke down on here so you guys can just,
well, that's good. Over the course of 4 hours, that means 35 minutes per chapter, which is good.
Yeah, they're different lengths. I think it's that like some are longer than others. They're not exactly equal, which makes sense. That means you're not going to chop it in weird spots. You're going to chop it where you intend to do that.
No, but still, you're going to get an average of 30 to 35, maybe a 40-minute chapter, but you're not going to have an hour and 10-minute chapter with a 20-minute chapter.
Right.
They're not going to do that kind of swing because that would honestly throw off the flow. It's like, why do we put breaks here and not other places? Especially if you know you're breaking it into chapters. You're going to have some consistency. And I know that part of our thing will be to do quick updates at the chapter breaks in order to inform people of what's really going on, or at least our response to what's going on. We don't want to spoil everything, or will we?
If you're doing a watch along, I'm spoiling all of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you're hanging out with us as we're literally listening to it and talking about it, you're in for it.
That's right.
I'm just glad Thursday's the day. It's happening, and we don't have to wait anymore, and we can see this thing and be through with it.
Because we probably won't have a whole lot of time because it's a far venture. If you're ready to sit down for that, we probably won't really have time to do a full review of it afterwards. So maybe on Saturday after we talk Falcon and Winter Soldier, we'll do a separate video and spend like 15, 30 minutes just talking about our general thoughts on the Snyder Cut because we've been looking forward to it and it's finally here.
Yeah, I'm reminding myself to bring a notepad so that I can ensure to write down anything that really jumps out, because I know to try and recap a 4-hour movie, it's going to be it'll end up being a very emotional response because you're going to be writing either the high or the low. And so I got to remember to bring a notepad because that's a lot of movie to digest. A lot.
Yeah. And for everyone, I mean, I don't like arguing with people about Snyder Cut that often, but a lot of people are like, oh, it's just the same movie with some deleted scenes. It's literally twice as long. And even the first 2 hours was full of reshoots. So in reality, we're getting almost 3 hours of new footage.
If you watch most movies with deleted scenes, you get maybe 7-8 minutes extra, unless it's Lord of the Rings, and you get like 40.
Right.
This is doubling the movie length. That's not deleted scenes. That's the rest of the story that was actually the good stuff that we were supposed to get. Now we get to see it.
Well, you look, your average movie is an hour and a half to an hour 45 minutes, somewhere around there. So it's more than twice the length of your average film. So it's literally another movie.
I think it's two movies, because basically if you take that perspective, subtract out the garbage out of Justice League, and then add 2 movies worth of good stuff back in and make it make sense.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder's job was really easy for this. like all he had to do was, and the fact that the rough cut was 5.5 hours, I really want to see the rough cut. And to know that he went from 5.5 and he's only cut it to 4, and they added some other stuff back in, that means he's not. This is like the Ultimate Edition BVS. He's not cutting the stuff that's important to the movie. It doesn't matter now. They've asked him, and the fans pushed to get the movie that was intended, not what the studio wanted.
What if the like nightmare sequence is like 30-45 minutes? That's just because it's so different. It's something we haven't really seen, and it kind of reminds me of Injustice. I think possibly most looking forward to the nightmare stuff getting explored. But
yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up for us, guys. So the last thing I want to say, again, please, thank you for joining us, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on the video. We're a very young channel, and we're trying to get up to our first 100 subscribers at least. But listeners and viewers, if you are on the go, rarely sitting down long enough to watch a podcast, don't worry. As mentioned previously, we have you covered. You can also find us on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, and Radio Public. And again, we have our Streamlabs link in the description if you want to donate. And we will see you guys next week on Thursday for the Zack Snyder's Justice League watch along, and then again on Saturday to review the first episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier, and possibly throw in our review of Justice League in there as well, because again, it is a new movie mostly. So thank you so much for joining us, guys, and until next time, keep it real.